So I've had some people hit me up over these since Marcus Smart became a Laker, which is less than a week. Like, what do you think, Al? Starting lineup or not starting lineup? Well, let me first say this. I think for me, I'm always going to want, in any starting lineup, a little bit of balance. Do you have your superstars? Sure. Okay, you got Luka, you got LeBron. Do you have your size? Okay, you just got some size with DeAndre Ayton. Do you have a defensive presence? I think that's missing right now. If the starting lineup is the same starting lineup that we had last year, except you add Ayton. So then the conversation just kind of comes down to, if Marcus Smart is to start for the Lakers, all right, I think that's an interesting conversation. I don't have an issue with that. I don't know what Marcus Smart's going to be this upcoming year. I just still have in my mind the Marcus Smart that was a complete dog when he was in Boston. I enjoyed watching him play because of his style of basketball. So what's better for the Lakers, having Marcus Smart coming off the bench or having Marcus Smart a more defensive presence in the starting lineup? I don't have a problem having him start. I've heard some people figure, okay, well, if he comes to the starting lineup, well, whose spot would he take? I've heard the argument of him starting over Rui. I don't know how crazy I am about that. And if Rui Hachimura is still on this Lakers team, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, he is an asset for the Lakers. He's an expiring contract. I don't think Rui coming off the bench, you're going to get the best of Rui. I think you might get the best of Austin Reeves coming off the bench. I think I'm a little bit more on an island in this one. I don't think you need to start your five best players. I think you need to start your starting five needs to be the starting five that makes the most sense strategically, that players that complement each other. And then you could look off the bench, and off the bench, are you now getting somebody in like Austin Reeves that could put up 20 a game, 25 a game, 30 on any given night? And can he be going up against some of these other players and really go to work? Here's my issue with bringing Marcus Smart off the bench. I think you need a player like that to start games from a defensive presence perspective, because your backcourt already has Luka and Austin Reeves, and I think teams are going to feast on you on that. Okay, well, how about Rui? Why don't you have Marcus Smart start in place of Rui? Do you really have enough size there? Is that – I'm not comfortable with that. I'd rather have Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup. And I don't know how confident I am that Rui's going to come off the bench and be the player the Lakers need him to be. I think Rui, when he's playing his best, is because there's so much attention on LeBron. There's so much attention on Luka. And then hopefully some attention also this year because Ayton is there. So I've heard the chatter. I've heard the conversation. I've had people ask me, hey, what do you think of Marcus Smart in the starting lineup? And who would he start for? I talked about this last year. I wanted Dorian Finney-Smith in the starting lineup in place of Austin Reeves. The Lakers didn't do it, and it is what it is. Lakers' regular season ended strong, and we all know what happened in the postseason. I don't think it's Austin Reeves' fault. I don't think it's Dorian Finney-Smith's fault. I don't think it's anybody's fault. I just don't think the Lakers had the proper roster to compete. But this year, now that it feels like they'll have a roster that can definitely be more competitive, or a roster that just makes more sense, why not put Marcus Smart in the starting lineup? If he's healthy, he's good to go, and he has a good camp, and consider having Austin Reeves come off the bench and let Austin Reeves just go to work when he comes off the bench. Still going to play 30 minutes a night, still going to probably be in there towards the end of games, but I personally like that balance a little bit more. Let me read a couple of your comments, get what you guys think, and we'll go from there. I know it's still so early to think about that right now, and we got a long way to go, but I saw the article I saw a couple different times where the conversation was coming up, and we go from there. By the way, I hope people don't take this the wrong way. Make Austin the sixth man. That's not a bad thing. Like, I love how people, they start looking at Austin Reeves, and it's like people take that as a negative thing. Guys, we've all watched some of the greatest players, the greatest role players to ever play the game come off the bench. And, I could sit here and I could make an argument and say, okay, look at Lamar Odom when they were winning a couple championships. Look at Manu Ginobili. It's not uncommon to have really, really good players, all-star caliber players, come off the bench. I don't think that that's something that's crazy here. All right, let's see what we got here. The biggest question, by the way, is going to be, is he healthy? And I'm talking about Marcus Smart, because if he's not healthy, then obviously it doesn't make any sense. And what is camp going to look like? And if camp, he looks like the Marcus Smart that we're accustomed to, I like that idea. Let's see what here. Smart can start, but he cannot play starter minutes. Completely fine. That's okay. That's okay. Again, you don't have to put your best 5 players in to start a game. Now, you should have your best 5 players to close out of a game, to close out a game. So at least, and that could kind of evolve. That could change. Really size. What does that matter? He plays like he's 6'3". Damn. That is a very accurate comment. I hate that comment because it's accurate. Yeah, listen, some people aren't as high as on Rui, and I'm not telling you that I'm high on Rui. What I'm telling you is I think Rui is more effective being around players that get more attention. And if all of a sudden you're asking Rui to be, a focal point coming off the bench, I'm not sure if that's the greatest game plan. And we know the Lakers are obviously going to have some depth issues as well. Let's see what we got here. Okay. I think we're going to start moving on to some of the other topics I got. So I got a couple here. Austin, Jake, and Vando is nice off the bench. I'm okay with that. Take our chances. And I think there is more, obviously, for the Lakers to do. So, Jermail, thank you for the super brother. I appreciate it. And we'll see what this roster is going to look like by the time, you get closer to training camp. Lakers could be completely done. For all I know, Pelinka's still out there making another move. What's crazy right now in the NBA is you got players like Jonathan Kuminga, Josh Giddey. There's a lot of restricted players that still hasn't figured anything out. Ben Simmons still has to make a decision. Then that will trigger what happens to Russell Westbrook. And I just mention all that is because free agency is not done. So that's the point of me mentioning that. Let's see. Good, serious. James, getting a lot of attention now. What's your take, Slee? He's been too old for a minute. Yeah, I was talking a little bit about this. What was it yesterday? That whatever Jeff Teague said on that podcast, I don't think he explained it enough in regards to. And by the way, listen, do I think LeBron's on anything? No, I don't. But that's my own personal opinion, and I appreciate the super here. But Teague, I don't know what Teague was doing because he spent 30 seconds basically talking about how. Accusing LeBron of something, and then his post of just saying, "Guys, I was kidding. I was talking about how great he was." It was very awkward. It was very odd, and I mentioned that yesterday. It was yesterday, the day before, whenever it was. So, yes, it had a little bit of steam, but I'll give LeBron the benefit of the doubt. The man has been doing what he's been doing for as long as he has. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, last couple things I got from NBA stories and NBA rumors, and then we're going to get into the weekend preview, and we'll call it a day. So I mentioned a couple things on Hoops Hype, or a couple rumors on Hoops Hype that I was reading before we got started here. Let me read something real quick on Jonathan Kuminga. A compromise for both sides, an executive suggested. $45 million over 2 years. Kuminga's a wing, so his floor should at least be the mid-level exception. So that's why he could risk a short-term deal or the qualifying offer. Kuminga is young, talented, has enough fans within the league to fill the bill. I've also seen some things about Jonathan Kuminga about a sign and trade. Basically, the latest was he's going to be very patient. He's not in a rush, and he's going to try to find the right deal for him. I don't blame him. I keep saying this. I don't think Jonathan Kuminga is being used properly in Golden State. And, I think he's better off playing out the final year and being an unrestricted free agent. Put the pressure on the Golden State Warriors, because right now, I don't know if the Golden State Warriors just assumed everything would work out fine, but they've made no moves in the summer. I think they're the only team in the NBA to not make any moves on their roster. Remember, there were Al Horford rumors, all that stuff. All that is on hold. The Suns out of the Ben Simmons sweepstakes. So I saw this. Jake Fisher put this out. Sacramento and New York were the two teams that I was told back in Vegas were the top contenders for Ben Simmons and his two best options. But we've also been told that Boston and Phoenix are teams that have made contact with his camp and representation. So I guess right now it's down to two, probably Sacramento and New York. How the mighty have fallen with Ben Simmons. That one's a little bit crazy. I don't know if you guys saw this. Kevin Love only wants to be in big markets like New York and LA. Jake Fisher again. So with Kevin Love, to my understanding, he really wants to be in the big glamour markets. I do think it would mostly be something along the lines of Kevin Love going to a New York or a Los Angeles type of situation. So we'll see if that can materialize for him. Do they need Kevin Love? I mean, I mean, right now, too, they're going to deal with issues from just a roster perspective. But I think for me, from my perspective, I don't think they need Kevin Love. I mean, probably a great locker room guy, but I don't know how much that guy is going to be able to help you at this point on the actual court. Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.